Here we go. The Eagles made a couple moves to the roster while activating a former starter to the pass defense. Plus, Jordan Mailata and Haason Reddick have unfinished business with Kansas City. But the Chiefs feel the same. What's Jalen Carter actually been up to? And is there any truth to the police incident report? And Dallas lost a key piece of their defense for the season, but who's the biggest threat to Philly? Let's break it down. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? All right, first off, a big happy birthday to the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith, who turned 25 and has actually been pretty good this year. In fact, Smitty has more yards and touchdowns through 9 games this season than he did through 9 games last year. Now, obviously, Skinny Batman turned it up to end the year, so not sure he can top the mark from last season, but with Dallas Goedert out, I don't know, maybe he can. After all, remember,
my boy Smitty. Hey, y'all, Smitty's so cold, y'all. Smitty's so cold, yeah.
Okay, just in case you didn't see that video or don't recall, that was from back in August when AJ had wisdom tooth surgery and went live on Instagram. However, speaking of IG, Haason Reddick was busy Monday capturing the Eagles Brothers and Sisters charity event where cornerbacks Darius Slay and James Bradbury took part in the runway event. And, well, the running backs made an appearance too as Boston Scott was seen, so I'm guessing he's doing well after missing the Cowboys game to a personal listing for being inactive. Plus, former Birds legend Brian Westbrook was there too. Okay, I think it's awesome and love seeing the community involvement from the squad. And while we're talking about community involvement, let's just go ahead and share what Jalen Carter's actually been up to since he was at a local Boys and Girls Club hosting a Thanksgiving dinner, where he provided over 150 meals to kids while taking photos and signing autographs. Unfortunately, that event might have been upstaged though when EJ Smith shared, "I asked Carter about the social media rumors that he had an incident at a Target in the city that led to police arriving, and his agent and team representative stepped in before he could answer, saying they'd prefer to focus on the event." Which, yeah, that's exactly where the focus should be for an event like this. I mean, there's a time and place for these types of things. However, I can somewhat understand the curiosity if an alleged incident actually happened, because with Carter being the best pick in the draft yet falling to the Birds after some potential concern due to Jalen's involvement in a crash that killed a college teammate and staffer back in January, it's not inconceivable to think that haters are just waiting for the 22-year-old to slip up. And no offense, but when sports bettor, content creator, and mafia and crime historian Jeff Nadeau put it out there that Jalen not only got involved with police, but also got mouthy with cops, so was detained and later released after the incident with no charges being filed, I wasn't buying it at all. And I'm still not sure, even after seeing retired Sergeant Mark Fusetti say, what happened was at self-checkout. Jalen's girlfriend failed to ring up stuff, so he then grabbed the bags and went to walk out before they stopped him and he got nasty with the cops. Then someone from the Eagles or NFL called and he was released. Okay, let me just say this, even if it is real, I think all of us have had issues with the self-checkout. I mean, obviously, I'm not one of the best NFL players though, so no one's gonna really care if police show up and have a chat with me. And sure, Jalen's naturally in the spotlight a bit more being a professional athlete, but you gotta admit, it's just a little strange that no other reporters who are in close with the Eagles have mentioned it until EJ Smith did. That's why personally, I'm still unsure if anything happened, and even if it did, it was just a misunderstanding on his girlfriend who Jalen was sticking up for. I mean, come on, I think we know JC's character a little better than that.
I always stood up for him just because that's not him. I know Jalen. I know JC. I call him JC. I don't even call him Jalen. I call him JC88. And JC just one of those guys that you could really count on. And to not only do his job, but he going to do his job plus more and then come daff you up and get everybody hyped up. And that's just the type of player he is. And he's one of the best guys to hang around, to be around. And I think, I can't wait for him to take me to dinner.
All right, and obviously that's not the only guys to stick up for the Breadman, with vets like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham constantly praising JC for his work ethic, but most importantly, his attitude both on and off the field. Like, for example, the free youth football camps Carter puts on every year and his other community involvement at Boys and Girls Clubs. But look, whether the report is true or false regarding the police incident, I'm honestly not really concerned about it. And yeah, we're probably never going to know the full details, but curious to know your guys' thoughts. Are you buying it? And are you worried with it being JC allegedly involved? At least the one guarantee we know is Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce are set to release their Philly Special Christmas Special single tomorrow or Wednesday. And while I never listen to Christmas music until after Thanksgiving, I probably will end up making an exception.
You're such a hypocrite.
I'm sorry, it's just too good not to. I mean, the whole album is worth it, especially with Jordan Mailata singing. However, after getting emotional after the win against Dallas, the Birds' left tackle says the Chiefs game Monday night is personal.
And I think for me, it's a little bit more personal than some of my teammates. Just because the last time we faced them, But we're always going to keep the main thing, and that's going 1-0 every week and sticking to a game plan. But personally, I'm taking it personal. I know Nick's going to come in this week and say, same game, same process,
right.
Stick to the process. But I'll never forget that red and gold confetti falling on my head. I'll never forget those emotions from that day. I'll never forget. I haven't even watched the film in that game. Besides, getting the corrections from Stout,
sure,
I haven't rewatched the game.
The game, yeah.
It's hard for me.
Well, yeah, I think we all feel that. Not sure you can get much closer to feeling like we're going to do it and then come up short. Okay, sure, the Atlanta Falcons might have something to say about that, but like Jordan said, this is personal. Although it's not often that teams who played in the previous year's Super Bowl meet in the big game the following year. In fact, it's only happened one other time when the Dallas Cowboys met the Buffalo Bills in 1994 after obliterated the Bills the previous year 52-17. But despite history not being on their side, it's looking very possible that we get another Kelce Bowl, since both Philadelphia and Kansas City are leading their conferences thanks to MVP play from Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Yet that's not really a surprise. I mean, Mahomes did kind of call it after last year.
I expect to play him in a lot of big games as my career goes on.
Okay, let's just say I wouldn't bet against it, and Hurts is buying in since he's kept a lock screen reminder as motivation since February, which is why I'll say I don't care that the Birds are underdogs for the first time in a game since January of 2022. That was against the Bucs and Tom Brady in the playoff game, in case you weren't aware, and we know how that one turned out. But I think we'll break the streak this time, even though we'll probably get a lot of the same, it's just another game type stuff, yet come on, we know better, because let's also not forget that Haason Reddick admitted the Kansas City game is one of the contests he's got circled on the calendar. So no matter what they say about this week not being extra, I'm not buying it. How about you guys though? How do you feel about the Chiefs?
We can't stand them.
Okay, I can't necessarily blame you if you feel that way after the Super Bowl, but personally, I don't hate them. Although despite winning, Chiefs cornerback Trent McDuffie has a message for the Eagles.
Actually, one of the big things that Coach Spags did this morning was he hinted back to last Super Bowl, and he's like, I don't know about you guys, but they put up 35 points against us. And I know this year's defense, we're like, none of that. We are not trying to give up points. So there's definitely kind of that stigma, kind of that stuff like, okay, we still, even though we won, that wasn't our best defense. We still have something to prove.
All right, well, in that case,
I really hate him.
I mean, I understand giving up 35 points doesn't ever feel good to the defense, and sure, as a defensive coordinator, you're probably trying to do whatever you can to provide a little extra motivation, but even Chiefs All-Pro Chris Jones recognized there was no stopping Jalen that day.
He had the best performance in the Super Bowl that I've ever seen of a quarterback. Running the ball, throwing the ball. He balled out.
Okay, as we know, Jalen's continued to take his play to the next level, so I can't wait to see what kind of performance he puts on primetime during Monday Night Football, which, by the way, will be live during the game with play-by-play reactions and highlights, so set those reminders and come hang out during the broadcast. I'm also looking forward to seeing what kind of roster moves the Eagles make this week. Of course, they've already made a couple signings in center Ross Pierschbacher. I have no clue if that's even close to the practice squad, yet that name might sound familiar if I even pronounced it correctly, since Ross has played 11 games in his career, including 3 for Philly in 2020 after being drafted in the 5th round by Washington in 2019. Oh yeah, you probably could have guessed this with him being an offensive player, but Ross played college ball at Alabama and was recruited by Jeff Stoutland when he was the O-line coach in Tuscaloosa. Cool, I don't ever mind getting a guy with stout ties. And with Julian Good-Jones having signed with the Commanders last week, it only made sense that an offensive lineman signing was coming. But that wasn't all, with the Birds also announcing they've signed center Lasita Smith and tight end Noah Togai to the practice squad. Again, I probably butchered that to add some more depth. And kudos to Outside the Birds for calling the Smith signing, especially with the potential, versatility, and long-term project he can be. Now, Noah is also a guy who's familiar with the scheme since he was on the Eagles practice squad in the 2022 season and has experience playing special teams. However, Philly didn't stop there though while activating safety Justin Evans' 21-day practice window, meaning it's very likely we see him active against the Chiefs. Of course, with Reed Blankenship playing so well and Kevin Byard locked into the starting role, it's probably mostly special teams work for Evans, but even that would be great since he's been one of the bright spots. I don't know, I wouldn't mind getting him on the field in 3 safety looks at times or finding creative ways to just get him out there since he was definitely one of the more physical players before he got injured, but honestly, I'm just glad we're getting healthy. I should also mention there was hope in adding some linebacker depth after Mike Garafolo reported the Eagles hosted linebacker Anthony Barr for a workout, and turns out the Eagles were rumored to be close to signing Barr, especially with Nakobe Dean headed to the IR, until, as you may know by now, Minnesota swooped in and persuaded Barr to return to Minnesota.
You cheated on me?
when I specifically asked you not to?
Okay, it's not that bad, although I would have liked having Barr for depth. But it makes sense with Jordan Hicks suffering this scary shin injury that Barr could get a better deal and more guaranteed playing time with Minnesota. Unfortunately, that signing didn't happen, but as we all know, you never count out Howie to make other potential moves to the roster. Speaking of roster moves, fortunately Cam Jurgens will be returning this week, so should get a big bump in the run game. Yet with the timetable for Dallas Goedert initially being 4 weeks and thankfully the Eagles getting a bye after his injury, there's now some hope Dallas could return in time to play Dallas, which would then mean he wouldn't go on IR. Okay, while I'd no doubt love that, I also wouldn't mind the Birds being cautious and absolutely making sure that DG's 100% before getting him back out on the field. What do you guys want to see though? Do you prefer to get DG back out there or should they play it safe? Either way, unfortunately for the Cowboys, there's one starter who's been officially ruled out for the season, with Jerry Jones confirming starting linebacker Leighton Vander Esch won't play this year, saying it's a very significant loss for us. Now to further that, sadly there's even been speculation that the injury could end up being career-ending. And look, despite how much we hate Dallas, I never wish injuries on anyone, so hopefully LVE is able to come back next season. However, despite the blow, as we all know, the success of the girls comes down to Dak Prescott, and while he looked pretty dominant against the New York Football Giants JV team, I still hold to the fact that I think the Lions are the biggest competition right now in terms of the playoff hunt. I know, I'm with you, that sounds incredibly odd saying that out loud. Yet according to Unpredictable, it's the San Francisco 49ers with the second best odds to land the number 1 seed. Not really sure I'm buying that, but they definitely put up a dominant performance against Jacksonville, plus the media just seems to love them. Although, can you really trust Brock Purdy? I know I can't, but I want to hear from you guys. How do y'all feel about the Cowboys, 49ers, and Lions threatening us? Reminder to stop by tomorrow during the live show in case you want to chat about all of it, where we'll be breaking down all the latest Eagles news and looking into the NFC battle, so hope to see you there. This has been the Philly Special.